Welcome students. We are back with another lesson. In this lesson we'll continue with our Bohr's theory of hydrogen atom. Now in our last class we have derived the relation for the velocity. This is the expression of the velocity. The velocity with which this electron revolves in a circular orbit around the nucleus. And then we have derived the expression for the radius. This is the radius of the circular orbit on which your electron revolves. So this distance is your radius. So using the expression for the radius, now we will derive we will find the radius of a hydrogen atom. This is your hydrogen atom. The hydrogen atom consists of a nucleus inside which you have one proton, around which an electron revolves, and this atom has one electron. So using the concept or using the expression for the radius which we have derived, we will find the radius of this hydrogen atom. So what is a Bohr's radius? The radius of the innermost orbit of the hydrogen atom is called as Bohr's radius. That means this orbit. The hydrogen atom has only one orbit, and this orbit's radius is known as your Bohr's radius. Why? Because we will calculate this radius using the Bohr's concept, using the expression derived from the Bohr's postulate. And why we are choosing only hydrogen? Because the hydrogen is one of the very basic atom. Okay, see, it has one electron and one single orbit. So if you know the radius of this one single orbit, you can use the same concept, the same theory to calculate the radius of the various other atoms having different orbits. So we are considering the most basic one. That's why we are considering hydrogen atom. So the innermost orbit of this hydrogen atom is known as your Bohr's radius. So we know the expression for the radius. It is n square multiplied with h square upon 4 pi square mkze square. Now here, this n denotes the number of the orbit, in which orbit you are considering. Now since we are considering the first orbit, so here the value of n will be 1. This h is known as your Planck's constant, and its value is 6.626 times 10 to the power minus 34 joules second. Okay, you don't have to remember this constant value. Okay, it will be always mentioned in the question. If it's not mentioned in the question, you can always ask your teachers what is the value of this constant. Now in this denominator, the next thing is this 4 pi square, which is a constant. M denotes the mass of the revolving object, which is your electron, and its mass is also a constant, 9 times 10 to the power 9 kg. This k represents your force constant. Okay, just a minute. This mass was 9.11 times 10 to the power minus 11, and this force constant is 9 times 10 to the power 11. Okay, don't get confused. The next thing is your Z. This Z denotes the number of the protons inside the nucleus. And how many protons are there inside this hydrogen atom? There are 1 proton. So the value of Z for the hydrogen should be 1. And this E denotes the magnitude. Magnitude means the numerical part of the charge of this electron, which is 1.6 times 10 to the power minus 19 coulombs. So now let's substitute these values here in our expression of radius. So after substituting these values, you can do the calculation using a calculator. So if you'll calculate this value, you will get 5.3 times 10 to the power minus 11. Now I can write this one as 0.53 times 10 to the power 1 times 10 to the power minus 11. So this one will give us 10 to the power 1 times 10 to the power minus 11, 10 to the power minus 10. And we know this 10 to the power minus 10 meter can be written as angstrom, where 1 angstrom means 10 to the power minus 10 meter. So the radius or the bow radius is how much? 0.53. That means the radius of this hydrogen atom will be how much? It will be 0.53 angstrom. Fine. So it is of the order of 10 to the power minus 10. So can you see how small is this number? So if you want to compare, see, suppose this is your height. Your height is approximately 1.62 meter. Okay, this is decimal here. 1.62 meter. But if you look at the atom, how small is this atom? Check. So many zeros. So atom is very, very small. Okay. If you compare these values, you will get the rough idea how small your atoms are. Fine. So they are generally of the order of 10 to the power minus 10 meter. Fine. Now next, let's derive the expression for the total energy of the electron in the nth orbit of an atom. Okay, whether it be first orbit, second orbit, or so on. So again, using the Bose concept or Bose postulate, then using this velocity, or more specifically using this radius expression, next what we will do, we will derive how much energy this electron has while it revolves around the nucleus in this circular orbit. Now since this electron is revolving, that means it is in motion. If it is in motion, therefore this electron must have some kinetic energy. So the kinetic energy of the electron in the nth orbit can be written as, we know the general expression for kinetic energy, half mv square. Now if you remember, while deriving the speed and the radius of the permitted orbit, what we did, we applied a condition. This condition, the centripetal force must be equal to the electrostatic attraction. According to this condition, mv square upon r, that means your centripetal force should be equal to the Coulombic attraction or your electrostatic force, kZe square upon r square. Fine. So I've written here centripetal force should be equal to electrostatic force. mv square by r should be equals to kZe square. Now from here I can cancel this r and this square term. Fine. So I will have mv square equals to kZe square upon r. Now if I divide this expression by 2, both sides, so what will I have? Half of mv square equals to kZe square upon twice of r. So can I substitute this value here in the kinetic energy of electron? Therefore the kinetic energy of the electron in the nth orbit can be written as this value in terms of the charge, radius, and your atomic number. Now since this is a positive charge and this is a negative charge, therefore there is some force which this positive charge is implying on this negative charge. That means this negative charge is attracted to this positive charge, and it is due to the potential. So the potential of this electron. So the electron consists of potential energy. So the potential energy of the electron in the nth orbit can be written as, the potential expression we know is K times Q1 Q2 upon R, where this Q1 is the source charge, this Q2 is the test charge, and R is the distance between the two charges. So in our case, the source charge is a nucleus. How much is the charge? Plus Ze. The test charge is our electron, and how much is the charge? Minus E. And how much is the distance between these two charge? R. Fine, so I've substituted the values of the charges. So it is K times plus ZE minus E upon R. Now if I simplify this expression, I can write it will be KZE square upon R. So this is the potential energy of the electron which is moving in your nth orbit, and this is the kinetic energy of the electron. Fine. Hence the total energy of the electron in the nth orbit will be the sum of the kinetic energy and the sum of the potential energy. So substitute your kinetic energy plus substitute your potential energy. So their total sum, if I simplify this term, see there is half of this thing and this whole thing. So half minus 1 should give us half. Therefore if I simplify this one, I should get KZE square upon twice of R. Now as we had already derived the expression for the radius of the electron in the nth orbit, so we'll use this formula. So instead of writing R, I will write n square h square 4 pi square mk ze square. Fine. Now this term which is in the denominator will go to the numerator. So if I simplify, I can write down. Fine. On further simplification, I can multiply this k with this k square, z with this z, e square with this e to the power 4, which will give us e to the power 6. So on further simplification, my total energy expression E equals to twice of pi square mk square z square e to the power 4 upon n square h square. So this is the total energy expression for an electron which revolves around this circular orbit. Fine. And this negative sign, okay, what does this negative sign denotes? It denotes that your positively charged nucleus is pulling your electron towards the center. Fine. It is negatively charged. So in order to remove this force, what you have to do? You have to supply a positive amount of energy. Fine. And how much amount of energy you have to supply? Positive amount of this much energy in order to free the electron which revolves around the nucleus. Okay. So this negative sign, what does this denote? It denotes the electron is attracted towards the center. Fine. Okay. So that's it for today's class. Thank you. And if you have any confusion, please don't hesitate to ask. I will re-explain it to you again. So again, thank you.